what would you say that your number one, I know you probably have 5 or 7, what's your number one core value in your business?
Everything we do is created around like a win-win. And I genuinely believe that if you're actually having a real conversation with somebody and you stop looking at a house as just a couple of sticks and bricks, right? And you really focus on the person that's sitting across from the table or across the living room, you can find a win-win in there. I think oftentimes people are like, how cheap can I get this house? But it's amazing how much, like, if you genuinely say, okay, what problem of theirs can I solve? Don't even worry about the house for a minute. Life finds a way to work out. So if you take the focus off yourself for a second and really focus on how can I best help this person, everything falls in place. And I think that's the thing we focus on every single day, anytime we're talking to a seller. And I think that's a market differentiator. As crazy as that sounds, that will set you apart in the market, because it's amazing how many times I'll talk to somebody and they can't tell me a thing about the person that owns the house. They can tell me every last detail: how many bedrooms, bathrooms, square feet, what year it was built, who made it, how old the water heater is. I'm like, I don't care about any of that stuff. Those are details that we'll need to know at some point. But like, what problem are they trying to solve right now will get you so much further down the road. And oftentimes we'll even pay more money if somebody will actually tell us what it is that they're trying to accomplish. And it's amazing. We had a couple in another rural house. I don't know how all the good stories are in the rural parts of town, but they had a down to the penny exactly how much money they needed. And we were like, okay. And they could tell us exactly why they needed it too. Very specific goals. Well, gosh darn it, if we didn't try to find a way to get them that exact amount of money. And we did. And because they let their walls down, because we focus on creating win-win scenarios, they got exactly what they wanted. And just the other day, they sent us the sweetest note ever about having found the exact place that they talked about, bought the exact lot they were speaking about, and then they'd like to have us over for dinner.
That's awesome. I'm glad you share that. I think that's always a good reminder for all of us, is to always think about the other individual and how can you actually serve them. Yeah. So no, thanks for sharing that. Let me ask you this. What is the one myth about real estate that you would like to debunk right now? Oh, gosh. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a myth so much. It is things that I hear all the time that just don't make any sense in practice. The amount of attention that gets to house hacking gets relative to the ease with which you could do that and keep your marriage alive blows my mind. The conversation typically goes like this. Hey, Adam, I was just on YouTube and I heard about house hacking. What do you know about that? And I'll be like, all right, you're married, right? Yeah. You got 3 kids? Yeah. Do you want to live in an apartment? They're like, no, God, no, I wouldn't live in an apartment. I'm like, cool, then why would you live in a quadplex? There you go. Money aside, right? It's just like, it's the practicality of doing things. I think it's one of those, I think YouTube will get you excited about things that doesn't necessarily show up every day in real estate.
Sub-2 is a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have sub-2s. We have one under contract right now. So like, I love sub-2s, but like, is that something that shows up every day? Absolutely not. And the other part that we talk about a lot, but I guess I just don't hear it a whole bunch, is marketing drives results. And here's what I mean by that.
Amen.
When all we were doing was mail, typically mail is high equity, absentee owned, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Those aren't sub-2 conversations. Those are wholesale conversations. Yeah. So for the first year when we were doing all mail, we never had a subject to conversation because the marketing was driving the conversation that inevitably would occur. Now, once we changed our marketing and went more that digital route, hey, look, motivation's extremely high. When you have the right one, motivation's extremely high. But equity is all over the place. Yeah. So now, all of a sudden, magically, these sub-2 conversations are happening because of the style of marketing we're doing. So I think people get excited about a topic, and then they think that that's all, they're going to find. And it's like, no, look at what you're looking for and see if that lines up. You know what I mean? Like, marketing drives the conversation you're inevitably going to have.
If you're underwater, like, a sub-2 conversation is great. Absolutely.
Right.
But if you have $200,000 worth of equity, they want the cash.
Right. Yeah.
And so when we're talking about going back and creating that win-win, you can't just walk in there having a sub-2 conversation with every single person, because they're going to look at you like you're a three-headed monster. Like, where's the cash? Where's the cash, though?
There it is.
Is their concern. Yeah. So just stuff like that. I wouldn't necessarily call them myths so much as I would just like...
You see people getting excited about stuff that's not applicable.
Right.
Yeah, either that or just like not necessarily as often, doesn't necessarily occur in the market as often as they think it does. So maybe create a more well-rounded business versus something that's specifically driven by one exit strategy. Anytime somebody has one exit strategy and that's the only thing they're thinking about, I'm like, then you're not listening.